Have you ever gone silent on a man, ignored his texts, pulled back your energy, or simply disappeared for a while, and wondered what exactly is going on in his head? Does he miss you? Does he chase you? Or does he move on? The truth is, silence triggers a psychological response in men that can reveal their true feelings, and today, I'm going to break it all down for you. Silence is one of the most powerful communication tools in relationships. Unlike words, silence doesn't explain, defend, or negotiate, it forces a man to sit with his own thoughts. And in that quiet space, he starts confronting emotions he usually avoids. When a woman goes silent, it makes him reflect on your value, his behavior, and whether he's at risk of losing you. In female psychology, silence is often a form of boundary setting. It's not about punishment, it's about self-protection. But in male psychology, that same silence can spark an entire storm of reactions: confusion, insecurity, desire, even fear of abandonment. And that's why this topic matters. Because silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a test of character. It reveals whether a man is willing to step up, or whether he retreats into his comfort zone. Today I'm going to break down what men are really doing when you go silent. We'll walk through the emotional stages they experience, the psychology behind their reactions, and most importantly, how you can use silence wisely. Not as a game, not as manipulation, but as a strategy for clarity, self-respect, and building healthier, stronger relationships. 1. Initial confusion and ego check. Before we dive into the first stage, let me quickly say, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I break down female psychology, relationships, and the hidden dynamics between men and women. If you love understanding the why behind human behavior, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an insight. Now, let's get into stage 1, initial confusion and ego check. Here's what happens: men are naturally wired to solve problems. The moment you go silent, his first instinct is, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Did I say the wrong thing? He starts scanning the last few conversations in his head, almost like rewinding a movie, trying to find the exact scene where things went off track. From the female psychology side, silence is often a way to protect your emotional energy. Maybe you're hurt, maybe you feel underappreciated, or maybe you simply need space. But men rarely see it that way. Instead, they interpret silence as a threat to their ego or even a loss of control. Your silence isn't about punishing him. It's not about playing games. It's about creating space for clarity. And most men? They'll check their ego before they ever check their heart. Stick around, because in the next stage you'll see how silence tests his level of interest, and this is where things start to get really revealing. 2. Testing his interest. Now, once he moves past the confusion stage, something interesting happens: your silence starts to test his level of interest. If a man genuinely values you, silence doesn't make him comfortable, it makes him restless. It creates urgency. That's when you see the late-night texts, the sudden phone calls, or even those little accidental run-ins where he just happens to be where you are. His actions are basically saying, I notice you're missing, and I don't like it. This is where silence becomes powerful. Women don't want a man who only shows up when things are easy, they want consistency. They want to see, does he lean in when it feels uncertain, or does he quietly drift away? Because real effort reveals real interest. Here's a quick example. Let's say a woman stops initiating texts, she doesn't start conversations, she doesn't send the good morning message. Within days, a man who's invested begins doubling his efforts. Suddenly he's reaching out more, noticing your absence, and making sure you feel his presence. Why? Because real interest survives silence. But here's the catch: not all men step up. Some actually do the opposite. And in the next stage, I'll explain why silence makes certain men defensive and even causes them to pull back. 3. Defensive behavior or pullback. Now, not every man reacts by chasing harder. Some men, especially avoidant or emotionally guarded types, respond in the opposite way. Silence can feel like rejection, and rejection hits the ego hard. Instead of leaning in, he leans back. He might mirror your silence, acting as if he doesn't care, just to protect his pride. On the surface, it looks like indifference, but underneath, it's often self-defense. This is important to recognize. When a man mirrors your silence, it doesn't automatically mean he's cold or heartless. It means he doesn't know how to process vulnerability. He doesn't want to risk reaching out and being ignored, so he convinces himself that silence equals strength. If his silence matches yours without any effort to reconnect, it's a red flag. It reveals his level of emotional availability. A man who is serious about you will eventually push past his pride to bridge the gap. A man who's not ready won't. And this is where things get very telling, because the men who stick around long enough start entering the next stage, reflection and realization. And this stage exposes whether he misses you, or just the attention you gave him. For reflection and realization. By this stage, silence has done something powerful, it's given him time to think. And that's when reflection and realization start to set in. This is the moment he asks himself the deeper questions. Do I actually miss her as a person, or do I just miss the attention she gave me? This is where the difference between infatuation and true connection becomes crystal clear. From the female psychology lens, this stage is crucial. Silence acts like a filter. It separates genuine emotional attachment from shallow interest. Because when the noise stops, only real feelings remain. And here's the sign you should watch for: a man who truly values you starts remembering the little things. He might reach out and reference a memory you shared, admit to mistakes, or even acknowledge how he took you for granted. Those reflections don't come from ego, they come from vulnerability. Picture this: he's sitting alone at night, scrolling back through old messages, replaying the sound of your laugh in his head. That's not just about missing a text, that's about missing you. But here's the turning point. Once he's reflected, he can only do one of two things: either take action to win you back, or disappear completely. And that final stage tells you everything you need to know about his true intentions. 5. Action or disappearance. Now we've arrived at the final stage, the moment of truth. After the confusion, the urgency, the defensiveness, and the reflection, he eventually has to make a choice. Silence builds pressure until he reaches a breaking point. He either takes action, sending that vulnerable text, calling you, asking to meet, or he decides to let the silence become permanent. Either way, the choice speaks louder than words. This stage is revealing because his decision uncovers his true priorities. Silence doesn't break relationships, it exposes them. It shows whether he values the connection enough to fight for it, or whether he was only there for convenience and comfort. If he steps forward, if he humbles himself, reaches out, and makes the effort, it means he's invested. But if he vanishes? Don't see that as a loss. See it as protection. Your silence just saved you from wasting more energy on someone who was never truly aligned with you. Think of it this way: silence doesn't push the right man away, it draws him closer. The wrong man? He was already halfway out the door. And this is where the real power of silence comes in. Because it's not about games, it's about clarity. And in the next section, I'll show you how to apply these insights to your own life so you never mistake silence for rejection again. So what does all of this mean in real life? Here's the truth: your silence is not manipulation, it's communication. It sends a clear message: I value myself enough to step back when I'm not being valued. For women, silence should never come from a place of playing games or trying to control a man. It should come from self-respect, from knowing your worth, and from creating space where the wrong person will naturally drift away and the right person will step up. For men, their reaction to your silence is the clearest indicator of whether they're truly worth your time. Do they lean in? Do they take accountability? Do they fight for the connection? Or do they retreat and reveal they were never emotionally available in the first place? Think of silence as a mirror. It doesn't create feelings, it reflects them. It either shows you his effort or it shows you his absence. And here's the best part: both answers give you clarity. If he rises to the occasion, you see his investment. If he disappears, you see his truth. Either way, you win, because you've gained certainty instead of confusion. So the next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to chase, or to beg for attention, remember this: sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is absolutely nothing. So the next time you wonder what's happening in a man's mind when you go silent, remember this: silence is a psychological test he simply can't cheat on. His actions in that quiet space tell you everything you need to know about his intentions. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever gone silent on a man? What happened? Did he chase after you, or did he slowly fade away? Drop your story in the comments, because your experience might just resonate with another woman watching this. If this video gave you clarity or made you think, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.